Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FrostBytez Gaming Experience, Part 37 of the Pokemon Blue walkthrough. This is it. It is time for the Elite Four, pretty much known as the four strongest trainers of the entire Kanto region, and we gotta try and prove our worth against them. But did a little bit of a cut take there, and I believe I do showcase everything that I did go on my way to pick up. Yes, I do. So basically, having all of my ethers, revives, max revives, you name it. Basically everything that I've been collecting up to this point, have it all in just, you know, just for one final ordeal. And let's start it off. So we have Lorelei. She is the ice type user. Because ice type isn't so much of a standalone, it's more of a, you know, dual typing in Gen 1. It's very high on ice water above all else. But anyways, so starting off, we have ourselves a Dugong level 54 with Growl, Aurora Beam, Rest, and Takedown. Nothing too hard to take down. Takedown, nothing too hard. Okay, I didn't actually not mean to do that. Anyways, when you have a Jolteon with a good Thunderbolt, you know, relatively easy to take care of. And because we have a high special stat, the Aurora Beam is not going to be doing nearly as much to us, so we're capable of taking care of Dugong quite simply, you know, right before it uses its Rest ability. But, you know, even if it did use Rest, it would still only take two Thunderbolts to take it out. Cloyster, level 53, Supersonic Clamp, Aurora Beam, and Spike Cannon. Biggest fear that you have here is the fact that the Supersonic, you know, making you hit yourself, not exactly what you want to have happen, but because Cloyster doesn't have exactly the best special stat, relatively easy to take down with one Thunderbolt. Slowbro, level 54, Growl, Water Gun, Withdrawal, and Amnesia. Amnesia, pretty much the strongest move in Gen 1, just boosting up special stats, I believe, 2 stages, making it insanely powerful, and against someone like Slowbro with a really high special already, pretty hard to take care of. Jinx, level 56 with a Double Slap and Ice Punch, Body Slam, and Thrash. This is just one that's really easy for Charizard to take out. Ice Punch being super effective because fire is not resistant to ice at this point in Gen 1, so something to really be careful of. But because Charizard did not hit the level needed in order to learn Flamethrower, a little bit tougher to take out the Jinx than originally hoped. And then finally, we are going to be going against Lapras, level 56, with Body Slam, Confuse Ray, Blizzard, and Hydro Pump. Lapras rocking the overly powerful Blizzard move in Gen 1 with a 90% accuracy at this point in time. And I believe if you were an Ice type using it, it boosted the freeze to a 30% chance instead of a 10% chance, I believe. But that might be only in the Stadium versions. I might be off on that, not 100% sure. But anyways, again, because it's part water type, Jolteon's very easy to take care of it. And usually a lot of what we were going against, like the Cloyster and the Lapras, are more bulk as far as high defenses and not as much on the special stats, so it's easier to take it with a corresponding special stat instead of, you know, trying to take it out with physical style moves, because again, their bulk is capable of, you know, withstanding that. Anyway, so we have ourselves a lot of Hyper Potions because we are going to be taking quite a number of hits in between basically every single Elite Four that we are going against, you know, the high-class gym leaders, if you will, in some case or another. But anyways, that was the Ice-type user, Lorelei, and we are moving on to now the fighting-style user in Bruno. Alright, so also has a pair of Onyxes with him, so you could also consider him part, you know, he's mostly a fighting ground rock style, but his specialty is mostly in fighting. So to start off, we are going to be going against a level 53 Onyx with Rock Throw, Rage Slam, and Harden. Not the hardest thing to go against. The Rock Throw, especially because we are part bug, is something that we have to be careful of. But Bruno decides to use this first turn to use an X Defend, but, you know, we're attacking him through the special, which Onyx does not have exactly a whole lot of, and relatively easy to take down. Up next, we have Hitmonchan. I already talked about Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee being based on Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. This one's level 55 with Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Counter, and Mega Punch. A lot of punches. Ice style type, electric style type, Mega Punch. I don't remember exactly what Mega Punch does. I think it's just a really high level normal attack. So, you know, there's that. I'm not exactly fully sure. Hitmonlee level 55 with Jump Kick, Focus Energy, High Jump Kick, and Mega Kick. I believe High Jump Kick, if I'm not mistaken, has a like an 80%, maybe lower, maybe higher, something like that, a chance to hit. And if it misses, he actually takes recoil damage for missing. Anyways, Onyx, level 56, Rock Throw, Rage, Slam, and Harden. Nice little Solar Beam, easy to take it out. And I don't know if he hit me with a Slam or a Rage. I don't think he hit me with a Rock Throw, because if he did, that should have been super effective on me, because that was part bug. But anyways, last but not least, we have a level 58 Machamp with Leer, Focus Energy, Fissure, and Submission. Focus Energy being one of those weird moves that's supposed to raise your critical stat. However, Gen 1, it actually lowered your critical chance to, I think, just a flat 0. I don't know exactly why that is, but hey, it's what it is. He also has the move Fissure, which I explained in an earlier video when we beat Giovanni. Fissure has a 30% chance of one-hit KOing the opposing Pokemon. But again, it's only 30%, so nothing really too much to worry about that one. And that's it for Bruno. Essentially, you just gotta have a good Psychic type or a good Psychic type move, and you're, you know, relatively good to go with him. Next up, we have Agatha, the Ghost User, which is really funny because when you take a look at her Pokemon lineup, it's actually, you would probably think that she is a Poison user. Consider the fact that every single one of her Pokemon is Poison typing, 3 of which are Ghost typing, so that's why she's considered the Ghost type. But because these 3 Ghost type are also Poison type, and the other 2 are Poison type, you would probably most likely think that she is a Poison user. But anyways, we have a level 56 Gengar with Confuse Ray, Nightshade, Hypnosis, and Dream Eater. Nightshade doing damage based on levels, so in this case, every time he would use Nightshade, it'd be 56 damage to me no matter what. Hypnosis and Dream Eater putting you to sleep, and then eating your dreams, basically, which I believe does a exact 1/4 of your total health, and not just a 1/4 of your current health, if I am not mistaken. But I believe it is 1/4 of your total health, as I remember Morty giving me the hardest time with that back when I first played Gen 1. Way back. It was relatively difficult to deal with. Anyways, Golbat with that crazy-ass sprite, level 56 with Supersonic, Confuse Ray, Wing Attack, and Haze. Not the worst thing to go against. He has 2 means of confusing you via Supersonic and Confuse Ray. Nothing too hard to go against, especially because, once again, not exactly the highest special stat, so Jolteon's capable of taking it out relatively quickly. Up next is Haunter, level 55, Confuse Ray, Nightshade, Hypnosis, and Dream Eater, exactly the same as the Gengar level 56. Now, why exactly she leads off with the Gengar level 56 and not with the Haunter level 55 is actually very interesting to me, because you would think that you would want to put out one of your lower Pokemon as a lead to get an idea of what your opponent's going to do, but I guess if you feel like that level 56 Gengar is strong enough to, you know, basically sweep my entire team by being the lead, then I guess go ahead and go for it. But why you have a Haunter level 55 when you have 2 Gengars makes exactly no sense to me, but hey, whatever. Next up, we have level 58 Arbok, Bite, Glare, Screech, and Acid. So again, because that where she's supposed to use 2 poison types, it's actually relatively easy to probably get the idea that you yourself are going against a poison type user. Getting it with the Glare, hits us with paralysis. We kind of don't really want that, because it also lowers our overall speed, which then lowers our chance for our slash to critically hit. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are not paralyzed in order to make sure that we guarantee the critical hit as much as possible. Acid, high chance of poisoning, and I believe it has a stat of 60, 65, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. But again, as long as we have our high speed with Charizard, we're capable of slashing them completely to death. Next up, we have ourselves yet another Gengar, level 60, this time with Confuse Ray, Nightshade, Toxic, and Dream Eater. Relatively interesting that this Gengar has a Dream Eater when it has no means of putting us to sleep. So, a little bit of a fail on that part. I don't know exactly why you would have a move list like that. Having the Toxic is good because badly poisoning an opponent, once again, just keeps adding an additional 1/16 every single time that a turn ends. Because we have so many full heals and full restores and all that, we are capable of making sure that we are not poisoned whatsoever. And that is Agatha the Ghost, but might as well be Poison that we are going against. Anyways, so she also has a thing against Professor Oak for some reason. It's not really exactly explained why. Maybe they were lovers at one point. Maybe they used to train together, and then he just decided that he wanted to go out of his way and just become a professor instead of a trainer. Not exactly sure. I know they go over it in the Pokemon Adventures manga a little bit in detail, but it's been a while since I last read that, so I'm not 100% sure exactly why she has such a hate boner for the guy, but whatever. We are going against the final member of the Elite Four, and we are going to face him by not even looking at him. We're doing the classic anime, you know, like rival talk, where one person faces one direction, the other one faces another, but they're still kind of communicating with one another. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Lance, the Dragon Trainer. Now, you wouldn't know that based on the first Pokemon that he brings out in his Gyarados being a water flying, but because most people believe that Gyarados should be a Dragon type, it all makes sense. Level 58 with a Hydro Pump, Dragon Rage, Lyra, and Hyper Beam. Interesting thing, though, about Gyarados that I didn't know until just recently is that Gyarados is based off of a fish in the Magikarp, the carp fish, that apparently had a whole entire legend about how it would try and swim upstream until it got strong enough that, I guess the gods or something like that, turned it into a Dragon type, but then it used its Dragon type powers to, you know, wreak havoc and do bad deeds, and so that way it had its dragon status stripped away from it. That's why Gyarados is a water flying type. Dragonair level 56, Agility, Slam, Dragon Rage, and Hyper Beam. Fun little thing here is that Dragonair, he has two Dragonairs, both level 56, and both with the exact same move list, so relatively easy to, you know, easy to take care of. Now, something that I am doing completely wrong here, and I don't actually end up doing it right until I go against his Dragonite. One really interesting thing here is that you notice the fact that I said that both Dragonairs have agility. So does Dragonite. Dragonite has agility and barrier. He's about ready to use his other Dragonair with the exact same moveset. The thing is that the AI in Gen 1's coding is set on the fact that it is going to use moves that your opponent is weak to against you. So the key to taking care of Lance fairly easily is that you just need to have out a poison type Pokemon, because then the AI is going to want to use psychic type moves to beat your poison type Pokemon. The problem is agility doesn't do damage and barrier doesn't do damage. So when you're going against the two Dragonairs and the Dragonite, just bring yourself out a poison type Pokemon, and it's just going to keep spamming those abilities instead of their actual damaging moves. Now, of course, I'm using Lapras and Gyarados because they, you know, Lapras because he knows ice type moves, Gyarados because he knows some water type moves. But yeah, I'd completely forgotten until later on about using poison type, but I guess I also thought it was only Dragonite that had that. I think I forgot that Dragonair both had agility as well. Aerodactyl level 60, Supersonic, Bite, Takedown, and Hyper Beam. All normal type moves. Doesn't really take advantage of the fact that it is a rock flying type, unfortunately. You do you, Aerodactyl. You do you, Lance. Anyways, so Dragonite. Level 62, Agility, Barrier, Slam, and Hyper Beam. But because we are using Nidoking, as you can see, Dragonite's going to start spamming its Psychic type moves. But again, neither one of them actually does any damage to me. So we are going to look to try and hit him with Poison. And we finally get the Toxic off so we can badly poison it. I mostly put out Nidoking because I was, you know, hoping Nidoking at this point was just like tanky enough to be able to deal with it. But again, I had completely forgotten at this time that if I throw out a poison type Pokemon, that it'll try and spam its psychic abilities. And again, just kind of went over my head a bit. Didn't really think on that too much, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the Elite Four. You know, relatively high levels, but if you have a high enough level and you have the right typing and you know exactly how to, in this case, abuse the AI, which again, I had completely forgotten at the time, but you know, as long as you are capable of doing that, it's not really the hardest thing to go against. You know, as you can see, I'm pretty much like 20 levels lower in some cases in relativity to what my opponents are using, and I'm able to go through it, you know, with very little to no problem. So anyways, what we got coming up here is something that I actually really do not like. So anyways, he says that we're the Pokemon League champion. However, there is one more challenge that we have to go against, and we have to go against yet another trainer. The thing that I don't have about this is, as we just saw right there, he flat out tells us who the other trainer is. Now, again, I played Gen 2 first. I knew about the, you know, my buddy James, you know, he told me all about the whole entire, oh, the cool thing about Gen 1 is that you find out that at the very end, it's your rival that you were going against as the champion. And I was like, oh, that's actually really cool. And then when I went to go play Gen 1 and seeing that they flat out tell you who it is, that kind of disappointed me a bit, because yes, chances are you could probably, you know, just figure out yourself that you're going against your rival at the very end of the Elite Four. But to me, it feels like you should probably go out of your way and play up the drama to that. You know, you gotta say that there is like one more trainer left and that you should go face him. But don't tell me who it is, because then when I walk through and see that sprite, I then am like, oh my god, of course it's going to be my rival. And even if you knew, there's still that little bit in the back of your head that's like, maybe it's not. Maybe it is Professor Oak we're going against. Maybe there is someone else. Maybe we're going against Giovanni again. You know, who really knows? And then when you find out that it is your rival, you're like, I knew it. And it's like, it feels really cool. And I feel like that was a bit of a waste opportunity personally, but you know, that's just more of a nitpick deal. This video's gone on long enough. I do hope you enjoyed the first part of the Elite Four. We'll catch you guys on the next part. Actually, the last part of the Pokemon Blue walkthrough. Catch you guys there. Enjoy the rest of your evenings.